Hello everybody, I am Dr. Bharti, working as an Assistant Professor of Law at National Law University, Delhi. Today we will be discussing one of the modules of subject Access to Justice. The name of the module is Senior Citizen. The objective of this chapter is to understand what are the factors responsible for rise in crime against senior citizens, what are the international laws for the protection of rights of senior citizens, and do we have any such law available at the national level as well which could provide protection to senior citizens. And at the end, we will also look for the suggestive measure with which we could better implement the existing provisions if we have any. First of all, we will look into the factors which are leading to rise in crime against senior citizens. Urbanization, modernization, industrialization brought with itself many good things, but at the same time it had many problems as well, and senior citizens were the one who suffered a lot. Earlier, senior citizens were taken care of by their parents because there was a trend of joint family, but because of the industrialization, globalization, urbanization, people started coming out of their homes and started settling down in bigger cities, which left the senior citizen alone with nobody to take care of. Another factor which is responsible for rise in crime against senior citizen is generally senior citizen doesn't report the matter to the police, and the reason behind this is the existing administration of justice system is very expensive, very technical. At the same time, it takes years to dispose of the matter, because of which senior citizens don't feel comfortable in coming forward and addressing their problems before the investigating agencies and before the court, because they feel when they are struggling for the basic necessity, when they don't have money to buy food, clothes and shelter, can they think of affording a justice which is very expensive? At the same time, if they think of filing a suit, they will have to take leave from their workplace, which will lead to decline in their monthly income, and in addition to that, they will have to spend money in the expenditure which they will have to make for hiring the advocate and for paying the court fees. And at the same time, when they know the disposal of the dispute will take years to get the relief which they are asking for and for the redressal of the grievance which they have, it actually restrains them from coming forward and filing a case before the court. Last but not the least, sometimes even senior citizen does not cooperate with the investigation agency. They themselves many a times doesn't come forward and file a case and address the matter to the investigation agency, but many a times when investigation agency themselves come to know and approach them to provide help, they are not friendly enough to disclose the information to the investigation agency. They withhold the information regarding the commission of crime, because many a time the person who has committed a wrong against them is the person on whom they believed on whom they trusted. He could be his own son, he could be his own daughter, he could be the domestic help or anybody else. And another reason is there that they feel that if they address the matter to the investigation agency, if they make the complaint to the police, that person might take revenge from him. This feeling of lack of faith in the justice administration system actually stop the senior citizens from coming forward and helping the investigation agency in investigation regarding the crime which has been committed against them. After understanding the factors which are leading to increase in crime against them, we will look into the fact that do we have any international law to deal with this problem? Do we have international conventions, treaties which provide for protection of rights of senior citizens? The United Nations General Assembly in the year 1992 declared year 1999 as the International Year for Elderly People. The same United Nations General Assembly declared 1st of October as the International Day for the Elderly People. In addition to that, United Nations General Assembly adopted principle for providing basic necessity, for providing basic rights to the senior citizen. These 16 principles were further divided into five main points, which are independence, participation, care, self-fulfillment and dignity of the older people. Other conventions and other international instruments like Universal Declaration of Human Rights and International Convention on Political and Civil Rights also provides for certain rights which provides for protection of senior citizens. One of such provision which is provided under both of these conventions are right to life and security. Under this, it is the duty of the state to provide protection to senior citizen from every possible harm. So it is the duty of the state to protect the senior citizen from every possible crime to which they can be subjected to. This convention also provides another right, that is adequate standard of living for senior citizens. Under this right, it is the duty of the state to provide senior citizens adequate standard of living. If they are not in position to buy food for themselves or clothing and adequate standard of living, then it is the duty of the state to provide them monetary relief, to provide them monetary help, so that they could manage for themselves adequate standard of living. After understanding the international convention and treaties which are there for the protection of the rights of senior citizen, we will move forward to see, do we actually have any domestic law for the protection of the rights of senior citizen? In India, Constitution of India is the basic law of the land. All other laws derive its validity from the Constitution of India. So to start with, we will look into the Constitution of India and will see, do we have any provision under Constitution of India which guarantees certain rights to senior citizen. The first such provision is Article 41, which provides for public assistance in case of need. So a senior citizen who is in need of public assistance, who doesn't have money of its own so that he could arrange basic necessity of his life, that is food, shelter, clothing, then it is the duty of the state to provide it. But here we need to understand that Article 14 is a part of directive principle. So it cannot be enforced in a court of law, but this provision has its own importance. These are the guiding principles for the governance of the country. So every state, as per the availability of means which they have, they will make policies, rules, regulation to provide public assistance in case of need. Another such provision is NT 24 in list 3 of the Schedule 7 empowers the state and centre as well to make laws for the welfare of labour, including condition of work, provident fund, liability of workmen, compensation, invalidity and old age pension and maternity leave. So it means state and centre are free to make laws regarding the pension facilities for the senior citizen under these provisions. Item 9 of state list and item 20, 23, 24 of the concurrent list empowers both centre and the state to make laws for empowering the senior citizen and relating to old age pension. So by virtue of these provisions, the state under the state list and both state and centre under the concurrent list can make laws for the pension of the senior citizens. So from the discussion of these provisions, it is clear that the framers of Constitution took into consideration the right of senior citizen while drafting the Constitution of India. Now we will move ahead to see that what are the other provisions which recognizes the rights of senior citizen. One of such right is provided under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Under section 20 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, parents who are unable to maintain themselves can claim maintenance from their children. Here, this section is silent about the financial condition of the children to maintain their parents. The only requirement of this section is the parents should be unable to maintain themselves out of their own earning and property. And if this is the case, they can claim maintenance from their children. And here, children means both son and daughter. No differentiation has been made on the basis of gender of children regarding the liability to maintain their parents. This act is applicable only to Hindus. Now we will move forward to see what are the other personal laws dealing with the same subject matter. If we look at the Muslim law, it also recognizes the right of parents to claim maintenance from their children. But the difference is, under Hindu law, a parent can claim maintenance only if he doesn't have means of his own to maintain himself. Whereas under Muslim law, even if parents are earning little, they have a right to be maintained by their children. But it is subject to one condition: the children should be in a position, they should have that much of means and resources to maintain their parents. But it is again subjected to certain exception, which is if a mother is in a very miserable condition, she doesn't have money to maintain herself, then son, even if he has no means of his own, he will have to maintain his mother. After understanding the provision of maintenance provided under the personal laws, we will look for the legislation which is secular in nature, which provides the right to maintenance to everybody irrespective of the religion to which it belongs to. The Code of Criminal Procedure is one of such legislation which provide right to maintenance to parents if they are unable to maintain themselves and if their children have means to maintain them. Here also there is no differentiation has been made between son and a daughter. Both son and a daughter are equally responsible to maintain their parents. Next provision which comes forward for protection of the senior citizen is Specific Relief Act. Section 31 of the Specific Relief Act provides if there is any instrument which is void and voidable, then the person against whom that contract, that instrument is void or voidable, can get it cancelled and avoid any further chance of any litigation against him. So this provision can be used by a senior citizen if he has transferred his property under influence, then this is a voidable contract. By the help of this provision, he can get it cancelled from the court and get the property which he has transferred under undue influence to anybody back. Indian Contract Act also can be of some help regarding the same area. Section 16 of Indian Contract Act talks about undue influence transaction. If the parties to the suit are in such a position that one of them stands in a dominant position and by exercising his influence over the another person, if he gets a contract or an agreement signed which is advantageous to him, it is available to the other party to get it annulled, to get it cancelled. So, by the application of this section, if the senior citizen has transferred his property to any person who from his undue influence or because of his dominant position has got his property transferred to him, then the senior citizen can approach the court and get this instrument cancelled and can get it declared voidable and can get it cancelled by the court. Another very good piece of legislation is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. Many a times it has been seen that senior citizens are at threat of risk, harm and crime not only from the people who doesn't belong to them, but also from the people who are their family members. So for dealing with such situation, the provision of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 is of much use. It provides that if a woman is subjected to domestic violence by any person with whom she stands in a domestic relationship, then she can make a complaint under this section, under this act, and her dispute can be redressed. So if a woman who is about 60 years of age has been thrown out from her home, or if she has been subjected to any physical or verbal violence, then she can address the issue to the tribunal set up under this act. Here we need to understand what does domestic relationship means. Domestic relationship includes relationship by consanguinity, marriage, or through a relationship in the nature of marriage, adoption, or are family members living together in a joint family. So, if a woman who is above 60 years of age has been subjected to cruelty or domestic violence from any of such person, then she can make a complaint under this act against such domestic violence. Another very good piece of legislation is Legal Services Authorities Act. As we discussed in the beginning, the technicality of the judicial system, lack of speedy disposal and expensive justice act as a barrier to access to justice. So, for rescue, Legal Service Authorities Act was enacted, which provides access to justice on equality. Many a times it was found that people doesn't come forward to file a case because they don't have that much of means to pay the court fees and hire the services of an advocate. This act provides right to states to draft their own rules. Under such rules, many states have expressly made senior citizen entitled for free legal aid. So, if a person belongs to a state in which there is such express provision, then he can be provided free legal services, which includes free advocate, exemption from the court fees, process fees, and he will not have to pay any charges to represent his case before the court. Another useful provision is High Court Case Flow Management Rule. As we discussed earlier, the delay in disposal of suit is also one of the barriers to access to justice. So, under this rule, Chief Justice of India gave direction to all the Chief Justice of State High Courts to give further direction to all the district courts that the cases in which senior citizens are involved should be disposed of as soon as possible and they should be given preference. The Punjab and Haryana High Court formulated the rules on such direction, and they have given direction to all the courts in Punjab and Haryana that the cases in which senior citizens are involved should be tried on fast track court, and at the same time every day while making the course list, such cases should be given priority, which means these cases should be heard primarily, they should be heard at the first instance, and then later on the cases in which senior citizens are not involved can be heard and discussed in a court. Even the government made many policies and schemes for protecting the rights of senior citizens and for providing them certain special provision. One of such policy is National Policy for Older Person, which provides for safety, security and well-being of a person who are above 60 years of age. For the effective implementation of this policy, another council was formulated, which is known as National Council for Older Person. The function of this council is to give advice to the state government and the central government regarding the constitution, regarding the drafting and making of schemes for senior citizens. At the same time, give the feedback to the government regarding the functioning of such schemes, and last but not the least, provide a grievance redressal agency. If the people who are entitled to such benefits have some grievances, then they can address those issues in that portal. Maintenance of welfare and senior citizen is another very good piece of legislation. It is the only piece of legislation which is meant exclusively for parents and senior citizens. It provides for right to maintenance to senior citizen and parents, in addition to many other rights which have been provided and which we will discuss later on. This Act provides right to senior citizens and parents to claim maintenance from their children if they are unable to maintain themselves. Here, parent includes both biological parents and adopted parents, and for claiming the right of maintenance, he need not to be above the age of 60 years. Second category of beneficiary are the senior citizen. If a person who is above 60 years of age and doesn't have children of his own, and at the same time he is unable to maintain himself, then the legal heirs or any other person who would be inheriting his property after his death would be under obligation to maintain him. When the responsibility of children to maintain his parent comes, then their financial position is not taken care of. Even if their financial position is not that sound, they are under responsibility to maintain their parents. Whereas, when the responsibility of relatives comes to maintain the senior citizens whose property they would inherit after their death, then if they are in a position, if they are in that financial position that they have that much of resources to maintain the senior citizen, then only this duty can be imposed on them by the court of law. Now, next point is, what is the procedure for making an application under this Act and who can make it? The senior citizen themselves can make an application, or any voluntary organization can make it, because many a times it has been seen that senior citizens are not in that position to come out of their home and address the matter to investigating agency or to court. So, any NGO, any voluntary organization can come forward and address that dispute, address that issue before the court, and court can itself take the suo motu action if anything comes to his knowledge of its own. So, senior citizen, any voluntary organization and court on its own can cognizance of the matters falling under this Act. Procedure provided under this Act is very simple. Once the application is made to the tribunal constituted under this Act, then they are required to dispose of the matter within 90 days from the date of the notice served to the opposite party. This procedure is not very technical, so there is no requirement of hiring the advocate. At the same time, looking into the position of the senior citizen, the maintenance officer is always there to help them in their paperwork, in assisting them to represent their case before the tribunal. The maintenance which can be provided under this Act cannot be more than 10,000 rupees. The interesting and the most important feature of this Act is, Before settling the dispute on the merit of the case, the tribunal always encourages the party to adopt the means of conciliation. Whenever any matter is brought before it, they try the means of conciliation for settling the dispute, because it is understood that if a dispute, if a conflict has been disposed of by conciliation, then it maintains the amicable relation between the parties. Whereas, sometime in one-sided decision, the relationship between the parties gets spoiled forever. As even the legislation recognizes the importance of institution of families and the importance of care of family in old age. That's why conciliation has been recognized as a means of dissolution of dispute at the first instance. If conciliation fails, then court can adjudicate the matter on the merit of the case. This act also gives direction to the state for the establishment of old age homes. It says that it is the duty of each state, and each state should try to establish old age homes with at least capacity of 150 people. Provision for medical care of senior citizen. This act also provides for medical facilities for senior citizen. It provides that it is the duty, it is required from all the government hospitals and also from all the hospitals which have received some grant from the center or the state to provide special facilities to senior citizen. Some of such special facilities are separate queues for senior citizen, treatment of chronic diseases which are common in old age home, and setting up of research center for doing further research in those diseases which are more common in old age homes. This act also provides for protection of property of senior citizen. It says if a senior citizen has transferred his property with the condition to the transferee that the person to whom they have transferred the property would take care of them in old age, and if that person who has taken the property of the senior citizen doesn't take care of them, then they have every right to approach the tribunal and get the property transferred back to them. So now there are no chance of benefit for those people who think that by mischief, by undue influence, they can get the property transferred from the senior citizen on a promise that they will take care of them in old age home, and after that throw them out of their home or forcing them to live in a miserable condition. If such senior citizen is not satisfied with the treatment and care provided by the transferee, then they can get the transfer cancelled and they can take back the property which they have transferred on a condition of care and protection to that person. Offences and procedure of trial. If any person who has responsibility to take care of a senior citizen abandons him with an intention to leave him forever, it's an cognizable offence, and that person will be punished with 5,000 rupees or an imprisonment of 3 months or both. Various initiatives have been taken up by ministries and the central government. Ministry of Railway has provided certain special rights to senior citizens like separate ticket counters at the booking counter, provision for lower berth. If senior citizen apply for booking of a ticket, then he will be given preference in allotting lower berths looking into his physical condition. At the same time, certain concessions are also provided to senior citizens, and it is also mandatory for every railway station to have wheelchair for senior citizen. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also provides certain special provision for senior citizen, which are that if a person is suffering from any chronic disease for which he needs to take a medicine for a longer period of time, then he can take medicine for 3 months at a stretch. Such provision help him in taking his medicine regularly. Otherwise, he will have to come to the hospital again and again to take more medicine, as he can take medicine for 3 months at a stretch. So it will help him to take his medicine regularly. After the National Mental Health Program, the objective of this program is to work towards the need of those senior citizens who are suffering from Alzheimer, Parkinson diseases, depression and other mental related problems. There are certain benefits which are provided to senior citizens regarding the banking transaction. If a senior citizen invests some money, deposits certain money in a saving account, then he is provided higher rate of interest. At the same time, his interest is exempted from the tax. In addition to that, if a senior citizen has deposited his amount for a fixed period of time and because of certain urgency like medical problem, he has to break his fixed deposit earlier, then the general penalty which is attached to everybody falling in this category is not imposed on the senior citizen. Ministry of Finance also provides certain exemption to the senior citizens. Department of Pension has also special provision of pension for the senior citizen. The Department of Pension has set up a pension portal from which the senior citizen can know the state of their pension, the amount of pension which is due to them, and if they have any grievance regarding the payment of pension, they can also address the grievance through this portal to the Department of Pension. Ministry of Civil Aviation also provides special concession in airfares to the people who are senior citizen. Ministry of Road Transport and Highways similarly provides special provision and special benefits and schemes for the senior citizen. It has provided reservation of 2 seats in all the government buses, and at the same time it provides fare concession to them. National Old Age Scheme provides for pension to all those people who are above 60 years of age and who are destitute, means who are not in a position to maintain themselves. An amount of 200 rupees is provided to them by the central government. This amount is in addition to the pension which they can claim from the state government as per the schemes of pension formulated by the state governments. To summarize, I would like to say that we have adequate provision for the protection of right of senior citizen. The need of the hour is the effective implementation of these provisions, and that can be done only if senior citizens regain their faith in the justice delivery system. It is the time that they should be made aware of their rights, because if they are not aware of their rights, then there is no question of raising their dispute and exercising of this available right comes. So first thing which needs to be done is to make the senior citizen aware of their rights, and second thing, to make them believe the justice delivery system is there to help them and protect them. The only thing required from their part is to cooperate with justice administration system and not to sit quietly and come forward, raise their voice and get their dispute redressed with the court of justice, and this will actually discourage the wrongdoer against committing crime, because many a times it has been seen that when senior citizen doesn't raise their voice against the injustice, then the wrongdoers take them for granted and they feel and believe then these senior citizens, as they are old and infirm, they will never come forward and make complaint against them. So it actually encourages them to do whatever they want to do and to violate their right easily and go away with it without attracting any penalty. We have adequate provision for the rights of senior citizens. The only thing which is required is the effective implementation of these provisions. These provisions can effectively be implemented if senior citizens are aware of their rights. So we need to work on this area. We need to make senior citizens aware of their rights. Second thing which we need to work on is to encourage senior citizens to cooperate with the justice delivery system and the investigating agency. If they start sharing the information which is required by the investigating agency and the court, then it would become easier for the court and the investigating agency to do justice with them. Thank you.